Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wala ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, wala hawla wala quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So today we are conducting our session 2, part B of the LGBTQ plus science and Islam. Previously we did this session in Urdu, and Alhamdulillah, sisters were able to really grasp the concept of intersex and LGBTQ from both scientific perspective and the Islamic perspective. We have today a bit of technical issue, so this class will end in 40 minutes, and then I will re-share a link with you and you will have to join it again. Somebody's mic is open. So this session will continue for 40 minutes, and then I will send you a link again, and inshallah you will have to rejoin. So let's start the class. This is an ayah from Surah Al-Araf, ayah number 80 and 81, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "And remember Lut, when he said to his people, do you commit the worst sin such as none preceding you has committed in Alameen, mankind and jinn? Verily you practice your lusts on men instead of women. Nay, but you are people transgressing beyond bounds by committing great sins." Now we have heard, all of us who have read Quran have heard this ayah and the translation many times. Let's review this ayah, a bit about the background of Hazrat Lut alayhi salam. Hazrat Lut alayhi salam was the nephew of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, and they both were residing in different areas of the world. Hazrat Lut alayhi salam was given prophethood in while Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam was still alive, and both of them were preaching about the monotheist message about the oneness of God and the do's and don'ts, the moral values and the social values that religion has brought according to Islamic perspective. Obviously, it was not called Islam at that time, but again, the preachings were same for both Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam and Hazrat Lut alayhi salam. So basically, at the time of Hazrat Lut alayhi salam, when he preached, the main problem with his nation was the homosexuality, the sin of homosexuality, and he was guiding them. He was constantly guiding them about the graveness of this sin and how much it is disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The torment that was brought on them, the azab that was brought on the nation of Lut, was one of the worst azab, one of the worst torment of punishment sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it was in three parts. The first part, as quoted in Quran and Hadith, we find that the first part was a shrill sound. It was a loud noise, which actually was very hurtful. The second phase of the torment was an earthquake, and it is said in the Quran that they were lifted up and then thrown back downward faced on the ground, like it was a massive earthquake that hit them. And in the third part of the punishment or the torment, what happened was that they were rained by stone, big clay stone from the sky. So this was one of the worst punishments any nation could ever be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the major sin that they were suffering from was homosexuality. Now let's see, obviously we know that Hazrat Lut alayhi salam was present at the time of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. So homosexuality and these things are not a new sin. It has been there since long. But what happened all of a sudden that this sin has become so much highlighted in the news, and it's everywhere in the social media and on the new movies and cartoon movies are made about it, and it's getting really it's coming into limelight. So what's all behind this? Let's start and see with the important topic, which is sexual revolution. Now, this sexual revolution was a movement started in the West America and the European countries, where they basically aimed at challenging the traditional codes of sexuality and relationships. The basic the criteria that has ever been there of a male and a female getting into marriage and then having offsprings. This was normally, and plus obviously the rights and duties of a husband and the rights and duties of the wife and the male and female rights and duties in the society. They challenged it. They said that the in order to liberate a woman, obviously the agenda of feminism was also there. So they said that in order to liberate a woman and to make her more empowered, we have to get out of this normal traditional values of male and female being fit into a specific criteria in the society. So what they did was, initially, if you just see, I have made this presentation in which there is this one large box, right? And then it has three small boxes. Then this is another box. It has three boxes, and these are three separate boxes, you can see. So what happened? Let's look at the first box. What happened was that every religion has prescribed that initially there has to be a marriage between a male and female. This marriage will allow or give permission for a sexual relationship between the male and female. Obviously, please check with your mics. I have to repeatedly again and again go in the settings and have to mute your mics. So the marriage is the first thing, and it gives you a permission to have a sexual relationship with the opposite gender. So marriage has always been between a male and a female, and after marriage, the male and female can have a sexual relationship in every religion, and this would result in reproduction. So this has been a norm in the society that marriage, sexual relationship, and reproduction would be in line. And any religion, even apart from Islam, has always condemned, and it has always prohibited the extramarital affairs and the reproduction outside the marriage. So what happened in sexual revolution was that they said they have to break this one box into separate boxes. So what they introduced was that marriage is not in connection with sexual relationship and reproduction. Marriage has to be its own choice. And people, if they want to get married, they can get married. If they don't want to get married, that's okay. But they do not have to connect marriage with sexual relationship. So they started promoting the out of marriage relationships like girlfriend, boyfriend, and these kinds of problems. So what happened was that I'm repeatedly having a problem with your mics. Please be careful with your mics. So what happened was that marriage was cut off from here with the sexual relationship, and they said that it's okay to have sexual relationship without marriage. And then similarly, reproduction was cut off from here, and they started claiming that you can reproduce without having sexual relationship through IVF and test tube babies. And for reproduction, you don't need to have marriage. You can produce babies or reproduce babies without marriage and without sexual relationship. So all the three things which were connected in line were later on said to be working separately. And they said there is no connection between marriage and the rest of the two sections. Now, the next thing was sex, gender, and sexual orientation. The sex is something that we know that it is right from the birth. So when a baby is born, we look at the baby and we see that if he's a male or a female, if she's a female, and we know that gender was never explained into in human beings. It was basically, gender was used as for living for the non-living things, like in Arabic, and the people who speak Urdu, they know there are genders in languages for non-living things. Like we say that when we talk in Arabic or in Urdu, we have a special gender for a tree, or in Urdu we have a gender for a book. We say that it's a female. So gender was possibly not used for living things, and it was used for non-living things in the linguistic category of conversations. Even for the languages that did not have the gender attached to non-living things, they used to explain that whatever the sex of the baby is there, the gender is obviously what the baby looks like from outside, the dressing and everything. So if a baby boy is born, the gender has to be Obviously, apparently, if you see a baby boy, he will be dressed like a boy. And the third thing would be sexual orientation. So sexual orientation is, of course, if there is a male, he will be automatically attracted to a female. So these three things were in line, that when a baby boy is born, you dress him as a baby, you make him a baby boy, and you make him go to a boys' school, like if you have separate schooling. This was supposed to be the gender, and the sexual orientation was, of course, a male is attracted to female, and like we know, opposites attract. So the female is attracted to male and the male is attracted to female. This was a big box, and all things were bound together, attached to each other. Now what they said was that let's cut this box open, and let's say that sex is something else, gender is something else, and sexual orientation is something else. So if you are born a baby girl or a baby boy, that doesn't matter, and you can dress up as either opposite of what you were born with. And then you can have sexual orientation, your likes and dislikes of romance and sexual relationship could be completely opposite to what your sex or gender is. So they said that these three things are not connected, and they again said the three things apart instead of being connected. In the third box, you can see that there is an inner desire, and then there is an action, and then there is identity or classification. So what they said was that inner desire. Now, what is inner desire? All of us as human beings do come across different types of thoughts all around the day. Some of them are very good, some of them are neutral, and some of them are sinful. We cannot ignore the fact that we as human beings do get very like when we get angry, we want to just we feel like killing someone. So it's an inner desire. We do get off and on sinful desires as well, but being Muslims, we know that we have to overcome those desires, and we just ignore them, and the thought comes and it goes away. So inner desire were since everybody has them, and nobody's an angel. So in Islam, we were always taught, and we are still taught, that if you have inner desires, you just ignore them, and it's like waswas from the devil, from the Satan. He makes us think of sinful things. The other box is action. Action means that let's suppose if somebody has committed a sin, like we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if somebody has committed a sin and Allah has kept his veil, and Allah has kept it hidden from the people, it is not allowed for that person to go out and announce about his sin in public. So again, action, if somebody intentionally or unintentionally has committed sin, he is not allowed to go out in public and tell everyone happily that he has committed some sin. It's always advised, it's always from Quran and Sunnah, both aspects, we are told that if somebody has committed a sin, he should repent. And if Allah has covered his sin, he should never tell people about it. So this was another separate box. And the third thing is identity or classification. Now, identity and classification are two similar things, which means that a group of people is identified or classified by virtue of the good things that they do. Like in Islam, we have a classification of believer and disbeliever. Similarly, in this world, we have, like if we see professionally, there is a classification of doctors, engineers, housewives, and about the good things. Preferably, even in biology, when we study classification of animals or mammals or different plants, we see that they are grouped on the basis of their main trait, main likes, dislikes, which are in a positive way. Now, what in sexual revolution, what they did was that they joined these three separate boxes, and they said that it is in continuity. So they said that when you have an inner desire, instead of suppressing it, you go and take an action on it. So if you feel like doing a sin, instead of suppressing the sin, since it's a one box, separate box, and we know that we have to control our nafs and we have to guide ourselves to the righteousness. But they said that if you have an inner desire or a sinful desire, you do not have to suppress it, and you can proceed towards the action. You can proceed to do that sin which was initially in your mind, and you can do it physically. Then once you do that action, instead of hiding that action, instead of being shameful about that sin that you have done, they said that you have to start identifying yourself. You have to classify yourself with that sin. So if, let's say, if somebody is very angry on someone and they go and kill someone, they feel like going and killing someone, like they have inner thoughts in anger, uh, sexual revolution says go and kill that person, right? So they say that, okay, you have an inner desire, you take an action, and then you start identifying, instead of hiding that, you start identifying yourself as a murderer. You start identifying yourself from that sin. So this is what is sexual revolution movement all about, and it was the kind of movement that started in 60s and 70s, and then it was again started in as a sister, almost sister revolution to a feminist movement. And both these movements had an idea of liberating. They had a tag of empowering women and liberating them from the institute of marriage, because they thought that marriage has brought kind of slavery to women. So they are slaves to men, and that's why they have to dissolve the marriage thing, and they have to set people free of the sex, gender, and sexual orientation, and start identifying them, tell them to start identifying themselves with the sins or the inner desires that they have. Now, what a disaster this is leading to. What's happening is that anatomy of, we can see that they have split a person into multiple levels. They say that sex is what you are born with at birth, and it's between your legs. It's here. So whatever you are born with over here is your sex. The gender is what you perceive yourself to be. It's in your brain. So they say that it's not necessary that what you're born with here has to coordinate with what you have or what you perceive yourself to be here. And then the sexual orientation is here in the heart. So this is like splitting a person and making him go crazy, because he doesn't know himself that if he's a boy here and a girl here, and then the sexual orientation says that he can go in bed with both boys and girls. So what kind of this chaotic environment is, the person will go crazy. He would not actually trust himself. So they say that sex is what you are born with between your legs. Gender is what you perceive yourself in your mind, and orientation, sexual orientation, is what you have sexually, your likes and dislikes in your heart. And the overall presentation of all this, things is called expression, which is called gender expression. So it could all be a mix, the mixed platter of sex being a boy and gender being you perceiving yourself as a girl, and then you are sexually bisexual. You would like to go in bed with a girl and the boy, and then you are dressing yourself and expressing yourself as a completely fourth entity. So this is a disaster, because a person with himself is confused, and possibly if the youth kept thinking about these things, that what are they, what they like, what they don't like, what they perceive themselves, they will not be able to do anything positive for the society, because they will be so much conflicted within themselves. Let's come on to our topic, the LGBTQ plus. So LGBTQ is basically an abbreviation. The label stands for lesbian is for L, gay is for G, B is bisexual, and T is for transgender. At times, a Q will be added for queer, and a plus sign is added for all other variants identified as, like we will discuss these definitions, like pansexual, asexual, phrasexual, etc. So all these categories are designated to people who are normal genetically and physically. Always remember those people who, those of my students who have attended the intersex class we conducted day before yesterday, they clearly know that we studied about the scientific and Islamic perspective of intersex, which were people who were called Khunsa. And the LGBTQ is completely different. These people are never born LGBTQ. They are normal people. They are physically, anatomically, genetically, like the cooking ingredients and the recipe and the cooking procedure and the garnishing. Everything is perfectly fine. They don't have any problem at genetic, at the time of birth, at physical level, or at hormonal level. They're perfectly normal people. So nobody can be a born LGBTQ. Okay, so just get this concept straight first. Now let's see the lesbians. Who is a lesbian? A lesbian is a woman who is physically and romantically attracted to other women. So a lesbian is a female who prefers another woman in bed with her, both the romance in her mind or the physical relationship, the sexual relationship in bed is she prioritizes. A woman is prioritizing a woman in bed. They not necessarily dress up like men. Most of the lesbians dress up like females, but it's their choice in the bed or of the romance that they prefer female to female bonding sexually and physically. For gay, a gay is a man who is physically and romantically attracted to other men. They do not necessarily dress up like women. So we do come across couples on TV who are gay, but they dress up like males. Okay, so lesbian and gay usually dress up like their own sex, but they prefer the same sex partner in the bed. Bisexual are those people who are identified as bisexual because they sexually and romantically feel attracted to people of both genders. Okay. So the point is this. Wait, one second. Okay. So the point is this, that bisexual people are mostly married people. These are the people, since we know that a lot of the filth is going on and people are very much interested in watching porn movies and these kind of filthy stuff. So what's happening is that our couples are going crazy, and they have started due to inspiration from these kind of movies, they have started fantasizing more than two people in sexual act. So they have started fantasizing having another female in the couple, like for threesome or foursome or group sex, and they are indulging into this kind of zina, we can say, because obviously it's haram. So bisexual people are mostly married people who would want a third person, either male or female, in their couple to have an intimate relationship with them. Or it could be a man who is having sex one side with his wife, and outside he's having a relationship with a male guy. So bisexuals are sexually attracted to both male and female. The transgender are people who are born with perfectly normal sexual organs, sexual system, and hormones. Okay, so this is the concept that you have to know, that these are perfectly normal people. They don't have any kind of abnormality. They have sexual organs which are normal. They have sexual systems. They have hormones that are normal. But as they grow older, they become unhappy with their gender due to many factors and causes, as we will obviously see in future slides. This is called gender dysphoria. Dysphoria means dislikeness or unable. It's kind of anxiety within a person for a dislike of something. It's called dysphoria. So it's called gender dysphoria, and they decide their gender upon their own choice. So they are not comfortable with what they are born with, and they do not like the way they look, and they want to change it. It's not an inherited or by birth problem, rather it's a psychological error or change by choice that needs counseling and medical treatment. So some people have a psychological issue, like we will discuss about the causes, why this is becoming so much prevalent in the society these days. So transgender can simply, they can do three things. They can simply change their habits and look just by dressing. They want to, if there is a guy, he wants to dress up like females, and he would put on makeup and jewelry and, all dressing up like female. This is usually step one, that he dresses up or she dresses up of opposite gender, and they started to endorse a lifestyle to appear part of opposite gender community, right? So this is usually step one. Mostly it starts off as this step one and then proceeds to level 2 and 3. In level 2, they might take it to advanced level by taking hormones. They start going to doctors, endocrinologists, and they ask them for hormones which would make them look like opposite gender. Especially in case of females who want to do this, they start taking hormone blockers, which would stop their menstruation, and then slowly, they will start growing beard over their face in case of females. And in case of males, they start taking hormone blockers and then female hormones to a level that their beard would stop growing and they would start looking and behaving feminish. Or number third stage, they might undergo surgery to completely transform themselves. Or they, like in case of female, they would want to get rid of their breasts and get a artificial penis implant. And in case of males, they would want to add up their breast, they would get a breast implant done and then get this penis and scrotum removed. Let's look at some other terminologies. We studied the LGBT. Now let's study the queer, Q. Queer means they may fall outside of, fall in between, or fluctuate among the binary gender categories of male and female. These are the people who say that we don't believe in strict black and white. They say we are anything but black and white. We are there's another, I would not want to mention it, but then there is a very famous movie which has different shades of gray, is again a kind of promoting this kind of filthy stuff. So they say that we are nothing black and white, we are anything outside black or white or any shade of gray in between. So people who are genderqueer often quote it as gender fluidity. What does gender fluidity mean? It means that it can shift and change at any time. Okay, so our meeting will end in 10 minutes. And what I want you to do is I'll post the link again in the group because we had some technical issue. So I'll post the link again in the group and you will join the new link. Okay. So if the meeting ends, then you will join please do check your WhatsApp group. So gender fluidity means that it can shift and change at any time, like a spectrum between male and female. So what they say is the people who believe in gender fluidity, they say that, okay, let's suppose I'm a person, God forbid, that I believe in gender fluidity. Let's assume. So I would wake up in the morning and I would say, oh, I feel like a girl. So even though I'm a girl, but I say I feel like a girl. So today, okay, I'll go to a salon and get my manicure, pedicure, and my hair color done. And once I step out of salon in the afternoon, I say, oh, I feel like a boy now because I don't believe in being a male or female full time. It's like my gender is like water. It can fit into any vessel that I pour myself into. So I would say, okay, I feel like a boy right now. So let's go to male gym and do the gym with the boys because I feel like a boy. And then in the evening, maybe I feel like a girl again. And then I say, okay, I feel like a girl again. So let me go and visit sauna with the sauna with female friends. So gender fluidity is a very dangerous thing because the criminal minds can utilize this opportunity to work up with their evil plans. And these kind of people believe that they can change their gender whenever they want, as per their benefit or as per their mental state of mind. So they are perfectly normal male and females, both genetically and physically. Always remember, they cannot be so by birth, or they don't have any physical or any hormonal issue. They have issues which we will discuss later, what is causing them to behave like that, but they are perfectly normal people. So this is the sign. You can see this is the sign, like you can see multiple color. This is for gender queer, and this is the sign for gender fluidity, right? So they are flowing in kind of a liquid medium, and they would, whenever they would want to be a male, they would act like a male. Like in case of if they want to have inheritance through Sharia rules, they would pretend to be, they say that we feel like male and they will take their part in inheritance. And then when it comes to some other benefit from a feminist source, they would say, I feel like a female, and then they convert to females. So pansexual, this is pansexual. It means pansexuality, pan means all, right? So pansexuality means it's a condition where they are sexually, romantically, and emotionally attracted towards people regardless of their biological sex or gender. So these are the kind of pansexual people are the kind of people who would say we are open to everyone and anyone. It just have to be a living human being. Doesn't matter he's a transgender, doesn't matter he's a woman, a man, whoever. Anyone, like everyone is welcome. Similarly, asexual. Whenever the word a is attached with with a noun, it means absent. So asexual means a person who experiences no sexual feelings or desires, or who is not sexually attracted to anyone. So this is asexual, right? Then there is a term phrase sexual. Now, this is really funny because, a lot of people who have such evil intentions will somehow fit in these ABCD, whatever they have, LGBT. So whoever has evil intentions will somehow find his way and fit into one of this category. So phrase sexual, it's an orientation for those who are more sexually attracted to people they have just met, rather than people they have built an emotional connection with. The phrase sexual people say that they want to have sexual relationship with strangers, complete strangers. They even if they come to know about a name or details of a girl or a boy, they become sexually put off. So they say that we really feel attracted to people who we don't know, just random, at the train station or at a bus stop, they would meet someone and they would want to have sex with them. So again, these are the people, obviously our religion and even the social norms, they do not justify this act, because this means that the person is completely devoid of long-term commitment. Now, there is another term which is called cisgender. Why I have to tell you about this is because you and I are from this category. Cisgender are the normal people who are born complete male or female and they agree to their sexual identity, like all of us, alhamdulillah. So we are cisgenders because what sex we have the same gender and we have the same sexual orientation. So we are normal people and we are called cisgenders. Now, there is another category which is so far included in the sexual criminal offenses, but we don't know for how long this will continue to be part of the sexual criminal offenses. Because I remember when I was in medical school, at that time, the LGBT were included in our forensic medicine book. They were included in the psychological diseases chapter. But recently, we are unable to find that chapter. That chapter has been completely removed from our medical course books. And now LGBT is being portrayed as a normal human psychology, and voices are raised for supporting it as a normal human right. So far, sexual criminal offenses are different types of problems in the sexual category, which are obviously sorted into criminal. They're included in crime, basically, simple. So necrophilia is one crime, sexual related crime, in which the person gets sexual pleasure in having sex with the dead. So these are psychiatric patients. Basically, these are criminals who say that, okay, we are done with all kind of the girl, boy, transgender, and everything. We are done with everyone. So let's have sex with the dead now. So they are frequently found to be visiting different mortuaries or different graveyards and digging. Even some are crazy enough to dig the graves and take the fresh corpse out and then have sex with it. So this is called necrophilia. Then pedophilia is obviously, some of you might have heard about it. It's a very dangerous crime that is growing day by day, in which the pedophilia actually relates to specific disorder where there is a preference for sexual activity with the prepubescent child or children. So these are the criminals who have sexual orientation or lust for children, very children as young as 1 to 2 months old, and they would want to have sex with those children. So pedophilia, there's a very famous brand who has recently done a photo shoot, and it's really in controversy, where a young girl of 4 or 5-year-old girl is holding a teddy bear who is wearing very erotic and very disgusting sexual clothes. The teddy bear is wearing those sexual, the vulgar looking clothes. So it has been in news, and there's much controversy about it. So pedophilia is increasing day by day. Then there is another crime which is called incest. It is a crime of having sexual intercourse with parent, child, sibling, or grandchild. It is having sex with mahram by blood. So somebody having a son having sex with his mother, God forbid, or a daughter having sex with father, and the blood relation. So incest is so far included in the sexual criminal offenses. Then there is another one which is called sexual sadism. It includes a person who takes sexual pleasure in inflicting pain, punishment, or humiliation on others. So they get their sexual gratification by endorsing or giving pain during the sexual act. So they are called sexual sadist. Then the last one is bestiality or zoophilia. Bestiality or zoophilia is a one that typically involves recurrent intense sexual fantasies, urges, and sexual activities with animals. So these are the people who would like to have sex instead of with humans. They cross all the limits and they say, we don't want human, let's go and have sex with goat or cat or sheep and, the animals. So bestialia or zoophilia, as you know, zoo is for animals and philia means love. So zoophilia are the people who would like to have sexual relationships with animals. Okay, so I'm sharing another link in the group, and please join from that link. So we'll continue the class with that link, inshallah. I'm sending that in the WhatsApp group.